Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Now today's topic is extremely important, not just for learning Selenium but for understanding why your automation sometimes fails even though the element is found. Many beginners ask me questions like, sir, element is present but the getText method returns empty. Why I am not able to read the value from the text box? And the answer to all such questions lies in very two powerful methods, that is getText and getAttribute. So if you mix this up, your test will definitely fail. If you understand them clearly, your automation becomes rock solid. So please listen carefully. This is both real time and interview critical. So today we are going to clearly understand what getText reads, what getAttribute reads, and most importantly, when to use which method, why Selenium behaves this way, and some common mistakes beginners make. So let's go step by step. So let's start with the most commonly used method, that is getText. So getText method reads only the visible text of the web element. So let me open a web page. So visible means the text that a user can see on the screen. So if you see the button, that is register button, and now we can see the button name here, that is register. So this kind of text we can retrieve using getText method. So not values inside attributes or not a hidden text. So think like a human. If you can read it on the page, getText method can definitely read it. So let me inspect this register button. Okay, let me select it one more time. Okay, now you see there is a register text here. So this is the inner text which is enclosed between start tag and the end tag. So button, this is the start tag, and this is button, this is the closing tag, and this register is an enclosed text between this start and end tag. So this kind of text we can retrieve using getText method. Okay, so again, you cannot retrieve such as these attribute values, such as id is equal to register button. You cannot retrieve this. You cannot retrieve any kind of attribute value using getText method. So let us create a class in IDE, and then we will understand how we can use getText method. So let's create a class. So getText getAttribute. getAttribute. So test. Again, you can give any name for the class here. I will keep it as getText getAttribute test. Okay, and then we'll create a main method. So let's create a driver instance. WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, so I will use Chrome version, Chrome browser. That's why I will use Chrome driver. So let's import this. Sorry, WebDriver D should be capital here. Okay, and then it will suggest you to import the class. Okay, so now I have created a driver instance. So I will open a URL. So driver.get, and then I need to pass a URL. So let us copy the URL of this page. So you will find this URL in the video description. You can copy from that. So now I will just do maximize. I will maximize the window. So driver.manage.window.maximize. So it will open a Chrome browser. It will navigate to this particular URL, and then it will maximize the window. Okay. So now let's try to locate this button here. So now I already have a register button ID. So I can simply go with the ID here. So try to do it. Or maybe we can simply use ID here, by.id instead of xpath. So let's try to find out driver.find element by.xpath. Sorry, not by.xpath, by.id, and then pass that particular ID. And then now I will use getText method. So now if you hover over this getText method, it will show you what is the return type of getText. Now you see public abstract string. So the return type of getText method is string. So we can store that particular string inside a string variable. So let's give a string register button text and then store it in that particular variable. And now let's say if you want to print it, you can use system.out.println and then register button text is register button text is, just give a colon and then give some space and concatenate this with the register button text. And now you can print it. Maybe what we can do is we can use driver.quit. You can use driver.close here. Anyway, we only have one window open. Now the compilation has finished. So it has opened a browser. It will navigate to the URL. And then it has closed. And now you see the register button text is register. So it has printed the particular text of the button is register. Okay. So this is how we can use register. The getText method. So I have some methods here. I have created some HTML elements here as well. So you can try this out. So let's try to inspect this login button. And now you see there is a login button and there is a enclosed text. Again, the inner text is there, that is login. So if you want to go with this, you can try that. So let's say, for example, I will add one more line, driver.find element by.id. So again, you can use any XPath based on the availability of attributes. You can use that. Use this. So I will store it in login button text. Then I can print it as well. So let me copy this line and then I will simply print it. Okay, and then just change the message here and then add login button text. So we can run this one more time. We'll open a browser and then we'll follow the steps. The browser. And then it has closed. And then you see register and login. So this is how we can use getText method. Let's try to do this for the username field. Okay, so now you see if you use a getText method for this kind of element, you see there is no enclosed text. In that case, it will return you empty. Okay, so let's try to do that. So what I will do is I will try to locate this element using ID. Let's try it first, or maybe let's give it a try directly. Okay, so this is the invalid case here. So again, driver.find element and then by.id and then pass the ID here and then you do get text and then I will simply use this is a username field. You can consider username field. Okay, username text. So basically, if there are input fields, so definitely there will not be any visible text on the username. So whatever you see, this is kind of value. So if you see the attribute, there is a value attribute having admin. So this is not enclosed text. And if you are using getText for such kind of elements, then in that case it will give you empty value. So let's try to print this system dot out dot print line, and then username text is, and then simply pass that particular username here. And then now again just run it. Let's open a browser. Still loading. Okay, let me just refresh it. So sometimes it happens. Okay, now it has maximized and it has closed. And now you see it hasn't printed anything here, right? Because the username text is empty. There is no such element or maybe text available in between the two legs. So if there is any inner text available, the enclosed text available between the two tags, start tag and end tag, then and then the get text will return you the correct text, right? So the value is stored inside an attribute, not as a visible text. So this one, the admin, so admin will not be printed in this case. So get text is not wrong, the understanding was wrong here, right? So this is how we can use get text method. Now let's move to the second method, that is get attribute. So this method reads any attribute value of an element. So if you see the attributes like value, right, the value, then id, name, if there is a name attribute, the type attribute, placeholder attribute, or checked, disabled, hidden attributes, right? So all these kind of attributes we can retry using get attribute method. So basically anything inside HTML tag, it does not return a visible text. Okay, so let's try to locate this one more time. We already have located it already here, so let's try that. Now what I will do is I will change it to get attribute method here. Okay, and then now I will try to do it same one, right? I will just copy this. Okay, and then here instead of get text, now what we will do is we will use get attribute, the second one. Okay, so let's select attribute, and then now what do you want, right? So I want a value attribute, right? So that means we should be retrieving admin from here. Okay, so let's try to pass a attribute name. Okay, so that is value and then comma. Okay, so let me pass it inside double quotes, that is value. Okay, and then just change the name, username text to. Okay, so now it will not look for the inner text, it will look for the attribute, right, the value attribute. Okay, now let's try to run it. Okay, the browser has launched. Maximized and quit, right? Oh, so now again it has given an empty string. Let me check why it has given an empty string. Okay, let me do one thing. Okay, we will do is /input and then @id. Oh, so now if you see here, it is locating two elements right on the page because it has both the elements has similar kind of ID, right? So what we can do is instead of using ID, we will simply pass here the index so that we will get a second index, right? Now we will pass it as a XPath here. So use XPath. So again, you have to, okay, wait, sorry. You have to keep this unchanging and then you should check it before using. We haven't checked it. That's why it was taking the first occurrence, but we want second occurrence. Okay, even for this case, we will use XPath and then we will change that particular ID to XPath here. Okay, now you see for both the print line outputs, we will see like how it will print. Okay, well, earlier it was anyway printing the wrong one, the first occurrence it was printing. Okay, it has launched the browser, has maximized and then closed. Again, it is showing you the same thing. Okay, so what's happening here is we haven't updated this correctly. Okay, so let me update this. Okay, so now we are using the correct variable, we are printing it correctly. Okay, so now let's try to run it one more time and then it should fix the issue and it should print admin for the username text2. Okay, so it has launched the browser, maximized, and then at the end it will quit. Okay, so now you see it has correctly printed admin for this variable. Okay, because earlier we were not like printing it correctly, we were printing the older variable only. Okay, so now this is how we can use getAttribute method. Again, if you want to try it with the another attribute, that is, let's say for example ID attribute, we can do that. So let's try to print now the ID attribute. Okay, so again I will just copy paste this, but I will make sure I will update everything correctly. So now let's use this as username text3. Again text3 I will change, and then like this is fine because we want to locate the same element, and then instead of ID value I will pass ID here, and then I will try to print it. So it should print the username now. It should not print admin now because we are retrieving the attribute value for ID. It should print username. Okay, so let's try that. And one more thing is we can also do that for the checkboxes. So let's try that as well. So it has launched the browser. Okay, so you see it has printed username correctly. So because we have retrieved the value, we have passed the attribute as ID here, right? So this is how get attribute works for the input field. So we can try one more thing for the checkbox. So this is the checkbox we will try, accept terms. Now you see there is an attribute that is checked. So if checked, it will return true. So we want to find out the attribute value for checked here. So again, let's try to find out the locate this element, that is, let's say id is terms. Again, we'll find out whether that is a unique here. Okay, and then let's say id, and then yeah, okay, so this is a unique one, so we can simply use id instead of xbar. So I will go with the, now let's try with the checkboxes. Okay, so now I will try to find out driver dot find element by dot id, and then pass this id as terms, and then dot get attribute, and then the attribute name is checked, right? So we want to retrieve the value of this check. So if this checked, it should return true. If this not set, then in that case it should return null. Okay, so let's try to find it out. Okay, so I will check. Okay, so let's store it in the check. Again, it will return attribute, get attribute will return string, so that's why we have to store it in the string. And then now we can print it. So system dot out dot print line, and then the checkbox state is okay, and then we can simply pass, let's say plus checked. Okay, and then print it. Okay, so it has opened a browser here. And then quit. Now you see our checkbox is checked here, right? It is checked by default, and even if you see here, it is checked. That's why it is printing as true. So this is how we can use get attribute. So in real world, we use get attribute when reading text box input, so that we have seen just now. We use it when checking disabled or enabled state. We use it when reading placeholder text, that is the attribute text, and verifying some dynamic attributes. So this is very helpful method we have. So now when to use which method? So now listen carefully, this is a golden rule. So if you want to read a visible text, you should go for getText. If you want to read an input value, that is admin in our case, which we have just now seen, in that case we should go with the get attribute. Okay, and then we should have been passed the attribute name inside the get attribute method. If you want to read an HTML attribute, then again we can go with the get attribute. So never mix them. Selenium behaves exactly as designed. Now this topic might look small, but it fixes many real automation bugs. If you understand getText, getAttribute, you will write clean, stable and professional automation scripts. If this lecture helped you, like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your Selenium friends. Happy learning and see you in the next video.